Okay, hello and welcome. This is your GM in the Great Barrier, and we are back with Star Trek Adventures Aegis. Before we get started here, just a couple announcements, some things we didn't get to last week. First and foremost, we it though it saddens me to announce it, we have had to say goodbye to one of our previous players. Uh, Drone, our science officer, has, well, as with many cases, real life issues have come up, and we will be saying goodbye to them for now. Hopefully not for good, but certainly I think I can say for all of us that we bid him a very fond farewell, and can look forward to whatever other ventures he may have in the future. Um, all warm thoughts, yes. But meanwhile, we are also temporarily down one player. Craig, our Lieutenant Eula Shira, will also be out this week. So we will be playing with just a slightly reduced cast for today, but still enough to make things work, I believe. So, with all of that, let us get back into the game. And when last we left off, the starship Aegis had been operating in the Boremus Abyssal, um, outmapping an area of space with unique subspace properties that made or that had noticeable effects on any ship traveling through warp or had some difficulties with propulsion. Um, the crew was taking the time during the survey mission to otherwise conduct a little bit of rest and relaxation. There were no shortage of travails, from sparring matches gone very slightly awry to allergic reactions. A lot of small slice of life things and opportunities to get to know the characters. But this piece and the survey mission was interrupted by a distress call from an Earth freighter that is reporting a very complicated situation in which they've been entangled. And so I think that is the best place to pick up. Uh, Captain, the log would be yours.
Wait, also another log?
Don't you remember the you had the supplemental log last time?
Oh, right. Yes, I did.
Yes.
Uh, Captain's log supplemental. The Aegis has received a distress call from the EC ECS Caravel, an Earth freighter being held at an alien space station. With little information on this Zogus corporation and a volatile situation with the Nausicaans, we're walking into a slippery situation.
Okay. And so, with the brief recording of a log, Crichton, handling his earpiece, looks out from the side for a moment. I have confirmation from the Caravel. They have acknowledged our reply and will await for us to be there. Connolly turns to you. All right, course is set. Warp at your command.
She will just look around and make sure everybody else is ready, and then nods. Hit it.
All right. And Connolly is starting to press forward on the throttle when all of a sudden a series of alarms go off at tactical sensors and navigation. Connolly is the first one to call out, "Proximity alarm, Captain. There's an object near us."
On screen. Any other stations? She says, looking around.
Um, let's see. I will go ahead and roll for Lieutenant Commander Patel, um, who happens to be at Sciences at the moment.
If I
So,
remember correctly, Soral was also at Sciences.
oh, well, Saral, if you would like to,
Sorrel was.
yeah,
Sorrel was. And in fact, I had been helping him out, so I was over by sciences.
everybody's crowding
And
around Patel, and to
yeah,
which,
but as it's happening, she'll say, Connolly, full stop, emergency stop.
full stop acknowledged. Aye, um, and Lieutenant Commander Patel looks at, well, Mr. Saral, if you want to take a look here, then by all means. I believe it's a reason science rule. You don't happen to have any focuses in sensor operations, do you?
I do.
Oh
You know
dear.
me so well, Mr.
So,
Patel.
it's funny, we just met, but oh dear, I'd better call
I'm an
Dr.
open book. As I keep saying to the captain, I'm an open book.
I'd better call up Dr. Lambeth. I think the metaspeak's starting to get to me.
It's common in these parts, I've heard. Do we have any momentum to start off with? Or are we
Uh,
starting stark naked?
I believe that well, let's see. Craig had the momentum from last time, so actually it looks like there is no momentum. But I will tell you that the reason and science roll that you have is difficulty. So to scan the object, it will be difficulty 1. For more information about the local space, it will be difficulty 3. That is, of course, well, the difficulty 3 roll is reduced because the ship has an advanced sensor suite, which reduces the difficulty of all tasks by 1, and I believe it only reduces it to a minimum of 1. So basically, you roll 2 successes, you get the full information here.
You know what? I'm just keeping true to who Soral really is, and I'm buying a die with threat. Because I have bold science.
Your generosity is appreciated.
God damn it.
Just
Okay.
give him all the threat until we have the Borg cubes. It's fine.
Yep. Somebody want to roll for the ship?
Sure. Oh shit.
But who
Nice.
needs it when you've...
And also, I thought if I roll well, we might generate an amount of momentum.
And
Right.
you are...
Sensors and science? Cool.
Yes. And that is... Oh, geez. So that is 5 successes right there. Now, Saral, I'll give you the choice here. Do you want to conduct the full range of sensor scans so that you also happen to notice something very interesting going on in subspace? Or do you just want the analysis of the object?
I mean, if you ask me like that.
I only ask because the if you take the probe, that's technically a bit more momentum that you would earn. But you're already pulling in 3 with that roll alone.
So it would cost us a momentum to get more.
Just focusing
readings,
on the
what you're saying.
probe, that's 4 momentum versus taking the information on the other stuff, and that gives you 3 momentum because it's a different success threshold.
Yeah, I think I'll take everything and 3 momentum. That sounds still spectacular.
Okay. Who would like to be the designated momentum officer? I will assign that momentarily. But first, I'm going to start relaying information. Saral, as Commander Patel steps aside and allows you access, you find that the sensor station is a relatively intuitive. It's a relatively intuitive setup. And you find that you are quickly able to work your way through the different screens, buttons, and there's an interesting little viewer that you have to crane over to peek
Oh
your
god,
eyes
yeah.
into.
No,
Yeah.
I remember. This is it's a very particular Earth design that I never quite enjoyed as much as the Earthlings seem to do.
I'll do momentum.
Okay, so I've sent you blurbs in the Roll20 there in the chat very specifically.
Yes. So, Captain, this seems to be the probe from Earth, actually, or more to be more exact, from the ship from Earth. What is it called? Kind of like a black box recorder. Ejected at the destruction of a ship.
Any recognition of the probe itself? Or a IFF?
Nothing I can see without a more direct interface. But there is something. I assume the subspace phenomena is around the probe. The
phenomena, it appears at about the the phenomenon has emerged about 40,000 kilometers off your bow. The probe is heading away from it.
So it would be a logical conclusion that it came from there.
Yes.
Okay. The probe seems to originate from a subspace anomaly. That am I reading this correctly? And this is, makes a bit of beep bop boop on the console.
Unless there's a ship in there.
The
Mr.
anomaly
Strong,
seems to be completely two-dimensional.
Patel looks over your telemetry. Yeah, he's right, Captain. The anomaly itself it's almost like it's practically as thin as a paper sheet, but the dimensions otherwise are it's amorphous, but at its widest points it reads at about 630 meters, 470 meters at its thinnest. It's directly ahead of us, Captain.
Directly in our course, to be precise.
is it stable?
What is an acceptable definition of stable?
Yeah, Patel kind of
Is that anomaly seem consistent that's going to stay here, or something that needs to be recorded at this moment?
Well, there doesn't seem to be any imminent energy fluctuations. However, we didn't detect the anomaly until seconds ago, so extrapolating from that, anything could happen.
This is something unlike anything I've ever seen before or read about or anything. I'd have to pour through the records just to see if another ship's run across anything like it, Captain, so it's no telling.
All right, retrieve the probe if as long as it's safe, doesn't contain any issues. As to this anomaly, Patel or Mrs. Saral, one of you two, can you leave a warning probe here just in case it doesn't get run across again, and we'll retrieve it and examine this when we come back.
I vacate the seat for Mr. Patel because he's more familiar with the necessary procedures.
Mm-hmm. And so, without worrying about rolling for it, let's see first. Let me deal out some momentum here. Um, without worrying about the precise roll for it, Shira is going to activate the grappler system and fire off the cables, managing to catch the pod as it makes a near pass and bringing it on board. Shira
I
will.
feel Soral winces when the cables are used, and it's like, have you considered tractor beams?
If you can find us a better reactor, Mrs. Saral.
I mean,
Or tractor beam technology, Conley says. We don't actually have that yet.
Yeah, do I know why the technology wasn't shared by the Vulcans? Because they have it at that time, don't they?
I mean, if there's a specific reason that the Vulcans opted not to share that particular technology, that might be a mystery. But you know a general reason why Vulcans don't share any of their technology with Earth?
Because it would be illogical.
Yeah.
To summarize the long discussion.
Yeah. Anyway,
out of character, I also imagine just they're like, why give a technology that requires so much power output or power requirements if they don't have the power support for it? It'd be illogical. She'll look over to Conley. Mr. Conley, can we back up a bit?
I start reversing. I'll do this with thrusters only. I don't. Something about that makes me feel really. I'm just not a fan of it.
She'll just nod. Are we allowed to back up?
You may use thrusters to back up. And
I will have Patel or Saral just basically use a measuring distance to make sure that we are backing up.
Mhm. And it is indeed reading so. The anomaly is not moving position. Shiro will soon report. Captain, we have the pod in in the main shuttle bay now. Do you want me to? How would you like me to proceed, or us to proceed? I
If
suppose.
you and Mr. Patel can have an examination of the probe, Mr. Saral, with the discovery of such an anomaly, can you use the sensors to look for any other similar anomalies, just in case we're not in some sort of minefield, as it were?
I can run another sensor sweep with the additional data. It's easy enough.
As Patel gets up from his station to join Shira, he looks around. Captain, it might be prudent for us to bring along Commander Romanov if this is the probe we brought on board looks pretty damaged, so I'd much rather, just to be safe, you know, have an engineer that might know what we're looking for and being able to access this.
Agreed. Mr. Romanov, if you please.
Absolutely.
Okay. So as you all set to work, the small team from the Aegis, that is to say, Commander Romanov with Commander Patel and Lieutenant Shira, all make your way down to the shuttle bay. Uh, the bay is properly pressurized, and there's a report that there are no signs of any residual radiation in the bay. That things are safe. Things should otherwise seem safe. Patel will consider the idea of using suits for a moment, but thinks better of it, or rather, just decides that with no clear signs of contaminants, it is better just to proceed. That is, unless there is any standing order otherwise. Hearing none.
No, that's fine. Just toolkits and what we need. If it looks like it's safe, like there's nothing funky about it, you
Yeah.
know.
So you enter the shuttle bay, and you find between the two shuttle pods set down by the grapplers a very burnt looking probe, an apparent Earthship records pod. Um,
Okay. Then I'll set to carefully opening it up so that we can preserve all the data and just look it over, make sure there's no, something I need to take care of before I open up.
okay, give me a. I'll tell you what. I won't have you roll to open the pod, but I will have you roll for something else. Very specifically, insight and engineering,
Okay.
difficulty 1.
Yeah, because she's looking it over like a doctor would look over a patient. That would be the best way to put it. Let's see. Insight and engineering. And we don't have any momentum, right?
You now have 3 points of momentum.
Guys,
Saral was very good.
I'd like to spend one, guys. Hello, other players.
And
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and I have both weapons engineering and reverse engineering.
Okay. I don't think I don't think either really applies here.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, let me roll.
No successes. So I will tell you what. Would you like to succeed at cost? And that cost will only be a single point of threat.
Yes.
Okay. So, you don't initially notice it as you pry open the components here. There's quite a bit of damage, but there are some intact memory banks. Your eye is caught to some carbon scoring that appears to have occurred on the inside as well, and you realize that you can make out some markings, specifically information from the ship's uh, from the unfortunate ship's like registry or information there. You read
Mhm.
through it, and you come to a realization.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I would know how to verify that because I just pull out my data pad and just double check. That one's in our inventory right now, isn't it? That probe.
It does read out, yes.
I'll look over at everybody else. I need to call the boss.
So Rom-
Skipper,
Romanov walks over to the edge of the shuttle bay where there is a internal comms pad.
Skipper, you got to hear this one.
Command station. Okay. What's wrong?
That's our probe. She'll hold up the piece and turn
I
on
mean,
the.
like it's vocal. It's not. We're old tech, my friend.
Yeah,
I'll be there in a moment.
Okay,
Um,
is that an NV 195? That's our predecessor, right?
I'll be there in
sure.
a moment.
Yep. You make your
More or less on the bridge. I'm just trying to navigate my around so we can get to the situation on the station.
indeed, but you
Uh,
you are your attention is nonetheless drawn away by the fact that uh, Lieutenant Commander Romanov has read off the registry of the starship you are presently on.
yeah.
And with that, I am going to spend 2 threat to close out that scene and take us to where we left off. Lights very slowly come back on. These are emergency chemical lights as all of you begin to regain your footing. Shira is struggling to get up, her antennae bent at a very difficult angle, um, and just everyone is kind of very slow to react. Carlos, what the hell was that?
All stations report.
Trying to get damage reports now. Um, Romanov, from your position on the bridge at the engineering console, you should see a readout in the handout section.
Connolly, make sure the brakes are on.
Oh, I didn't pull us out of warp, Captain. I think that there
Well,
must
just
have been some
pull us
sort
out
of.
of warp if need be.
Okay, I'll. He pulls back the throttle from its setting at warp 2. Yeah, I don't think we're moving anymore.
I need to give damage control report. Warp reactor and fusion reactors have shut down. Warp drive and impulse drives are not possible pending repairs. Emergency power life approximately 8 days. Main deflector system is offline. Sensors, internal sensors partially functional pending activation of reserve power in all sections. Main sensor array is functional. Structure, hull breach detected, deck 8, section G, deck 6, and section C.
Seal them off. Let's get an accounting of casualties. I want to make sure what the hell just happened and why aren't we, if the deflector's off, why aren't we suddenly simple matter in the space itself?
Oh yeah, something would have done that. Something definitely would have done that to us. Let me. He starts talking to his navigator. Let's work up a position report, figure out just how far we went.
She'll look around the bridge. Sheer out.
Shira is like She's not unconscious altogether, but she looks to be in very serious pain. You would know that, or like you could guess from Andorian physiology that the way those antennae are bent, she took a hard, like, crash into her console, and uh, she's not going to be much good to anyone for a little while.
Yeah, she'll just look at Patel. Patel, you're not looking good yourself. Get yourself insured in medbay.
Oh, okay.
Saral, you got to make. Hope you're up for making do with your pay. Or paying, whatever. I'm really out of it. Get
Wait,
on the
you're getting
station.
paid?
Get the station.
Connolly,
Of course.
after a bit of confused conversation with the with the navigation officer, says, "No, that can't be right, uh, Captain. We can't get a position report.
How is that possible?
Navigational sensors aren't locking on. There's
Did we go to warp at all?
no. We went to warp. I think I can record about 13 seconds worth of time at warp 2. Maybe a little more, but there's maybe double check our navigational sensors out, or I don't know. You there?
She'll look to Saral and just nod.
Sorry, what should I
Nod.
do?
Look, where are we, Saral?
Um, where are we? I mean, that should be an easy
Navigational
sensor
sensors.
readout.
Yeah.
I hope.
So that would be reason and science with a difficulty of 1. The ship may also assist.
Sensors and what? Con or
Science.
okay.
Or actually,
Moving forward.
con would apply here very specifically.
Super no. Let's burn that. Two coins. Let's not
Okay.
have something go on right now.
I think that Romanov has actually spent 1 point of momentum earlier, so I believe that you are currently out then. Also, we are officially starting the new adventure. So, oh boy,
Yeah.
for all of the currently active players, I take 5 threat. But yeah, with
God
that,
damn it.
um,
So 1 success.
yep. Zaral, you take a peer through the readout, and this might be enough to send you aback for a moment, thinking that the sensors can't possibly be correct. But you look back in, and this is the readout that you get.
Well, I can with near certainty say that we are absolutely nowhere.
Saral.
There's no stars, no matter, no energy, no quantum blips. There is nothing. So by definition, we are nowhere.
Any radiation, anything.
Nothing.
Is the navigational sensors malfunctioning?
I'm assuming I would have run a sensors diagnostics like immediately, but I'm expecting the answer is yes. They work within acceptable parameters.
So they're going through with the relatively simple sort of navigational sensor scan that you took. There are no immediate marker. There's I mean, you can at least confirm in terms of the detail of nothing being detectable in terms of anything conventional matter or energy wise. It is absolutely correct. There may be modified sensor scans, or like you may be able to try to scan for more specific types of radiation that, or other exotic particles, other things that the navigational sensors aren't meant to detect. But otherwise, yeah, effectively you are nowhere.
GM, can I have a copy pasta of the damage report?
I will open
Just
that
so,
up to you.
just because I am not, just because I would remember, but I do not know it myself.
Romanov will forward it right to your station.
So let's see. I'll go ahead and
That's probably procedure anyway.
Yeah.
just open this to all players, so check the handout section, should be under engineering control readout.
Well, with no warp reactor or fusion reactors, we are out of power completely. Romanov, head engineering and get that get those reactors working again.
Okay. If you want to get any additional information, internal sensors are going to tap reserve power, just so you know.
I'm well aware. How much power is it going to drain?
How much power would that drain under normal circumstances?
So I'll actually give you that the 8-hour estimate, or rather the 8 days estimate, is actually the guess with essentially current power consumption. So running off the like its handling, life support, environmental controls, most current sensor operations. The essential, essentially, the drain is going to come potentially from like excessive use of thrusters or attempting to power other systems like that. Weapons, if you were to try and run those. Um, you're essentially in a state where you've taken engine damage and you can't regenerate power, as it were.
Right.
Yeah. Which, incidentally, in the meta, the part of the damage you've sustained is actually 2 breaches to engines, which have effectively knocked them offline.
Fun stuff.
Thrusters would still be operational.
Romanov, when you're down there, I want you to reduce life support to a minimum. It's gonna get a bit chilly out here, folks.
Right. Okay, I'll head down to engineering then.
I need when you're walking there, Romanov, I need an estimate of the time to repair for any of those things.
I haven't even seen the damage with my eyes.
She nods. Just let me know.
I'll call it up as soon as I see it. I mean, I can give it to you right now, but that's just a spitball.
Just go. She nods.
Okay,
all right.
head down there.
Conley, Soral, if you can deduce, given the sensor records to sensor logs, to figure out what the heck just happened and why, especially how we suddenly ended up from a nebula into the darkness of the void itself. And if you can, by some stretch of the means, figure out where we are, whether that's between galaxies into an empty pocket of a rift, this between galactic arms, whatever. I want to know.
Try our best.
I'll get right on it. So, as all of you begin to set about your tasks, down in sick bay, The individuals have steadily been coming in, Dr. Lambeth, for the past several minutes. A lot of minor strains and bruises might have occurred. There's a good portion of, or there are a few people that might also have concussions at this point. So you are presently just a, like working through triage on this. As a matter of fact,
Mm.
I think that if memory serves, you might happen to be focused in triage, or that might be something that,
I
or not.
don't think so. I will check.
Okay. Well, as you were giving instructions to medical staff at any rate, Patel comes in with Lieutenant Shira, like having an arm draped over one side. He's clearly helping her maintain balance at this point, and she's looking a bit worse for wear. Probably a cut that was not previously manifesting, bleeding somewhat blue, and both antennae bent at a very unusual angle. You don't know Andorian physiology that well, but that doesn't look healthy.
Hmm.
Uh, hey, Doctor. I'm sorry to interrupt. I know you got your hands full here, but we could use a little bit of help.
Yeah, I can make time for that. What seems, I mean, I can tell somewhat what the issue is. What happened?
We're still trying to figure that out up on the bridge. We went to warp, and then how, something happened. I don't know how to explain it.
I mean, sorry, I might not have been sufficiently clear. I wasn't, I was talking about just with Commander Shearer.
Oh,
Um,
oh, oh, oh,
the rest is way above my pay grade. I'm
right, right. Sorry.
done with this at the moment.
Oh, I think I
But
might have
I
hit.
guess thanks for the brief.
Yeah, sorry about that. He says, looking around, hoping that he hasn't panicked any of the medical staff. Um, I think you might have hit your head a little bit. Yeah, yeah, I probably hit my head. Shira says on a console.
All right, well, that gives me a rough area to start with.
Oh, so
So just come and let's get you into this bed here, and just lie down, and yeah, I'll be with you in a minute. And he'll, I don't know, do helpful stuff.
yep, yep. Um, I'll ask you to go ahead and for Shira give me just a reason and medicine roll. Let's set this up to a difficulty of 2, but you will be assisted with the ship's sensors and medicine.
And what was the test again?
It would be reason and medicine.
Reason medicine. Okay. Is it sufficiently emergency for emergency medicine focus to apply?
I think that would work.
Okay,
Okay.
that's a 2.
So 2 there. Somebody wants to roll for the ship as well, then that'd be sensors and medicine, I think. But you do
All
at
right,
least.
give me a second.
Okay, while you're doing that, the minimum success is at least met. So what you can tell Dr. Lambeth is that she obviously must have taken a pretty serious, uh, tumble, or just basically something that the inertial dampeners weren't quite prepared to catch. And so when her head went into a console or bulkhead or something like that, definitely left her with some contusions. Her antennae happen to be in the path. They are pretty severely damaged, but not outright severed. From what is in the medical database and what the Andorians have been willing to share, it does look as though you could actually repair this injury without having to sever them all together and wait to regrow them. It's It's not going to be a very fun next several hours for Shira, but it is possible to treat her.
Okay, but that's going to be quite time consuming for
Yeah,
me.
she's.
Presumably, that's going to take all my attention. But
Yep.
everyone else is kind of just strains. This is the most severe injury I've seen so far.
That is most of what you get, right up until the transporter chief, Chief Jemison, walks in carrying like fireman carrying a Mako into the office, who appears to be completely limp. Doctor, I've got an emergency
Right,
here.
got it. Sorry, sure, you'll have to take a number.
One of the other medical
It'll
staff heads over and just like gives her some anti-nausea meds because she's nauseous.
yeah,
Uh,
keep an eye on her. Let me know if there's any change. What's happened here? Another hit on the head?
I don't know, Jemison says as he brings over the Mako. I was making my way to the station when I found him out in the hallways. There was no lights. It was up on decks. It was on deck 8, and he just he was shaking real badly. I don't know what exactly happened, uh, but yeah, like he's not responding to anything. I can barely even get a pulse on him. I don't know. Can you save him, Doc?
All right. Um, I'll do my best. Let someone know what's happened here. If you come up with anything else, yes, give me a call if you can think of anything that might help. Otherwise, I'm gonna get to work on this fellow. Do you know him?
Uh,
You got a name for him?
uh, Hawkins, I think. Sergeant
Hawkins.
Hawkins.
Right. Well, Hawkins, if you can hear me, you're gonna be fine. You're
He's just kind of looking up, completely vacant at this point, and
yeah.
otherwise
It's
limp.
just kind of like talking to him to hopefully keep him calm, even if he can't really hear him.
Yep. Reason and medicine difficulty 1.
Medicine difficulty 1. Oh, hang on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that's 0.
I can tell you one thing as you begin to run your medical scanner off of him. He's dead, John.
Uh-oh.
Oof.
So, getting a quick feeling for a pulse as the pulse stopped.
Yep.
Yeah. Um, I'm
He might
sorry.
have been dead
Well,
before he got here, or it might have been just now, but whatever has happened to this Mako,
all right. Can I? Have we got a defibrillator or whatever? Can I try and bring him back? But I'm assuming that it's like super dead. It's not like his heart's just stopped or whatever, and I can bring him back.
you can attempt to resuscitate him. There are certainly means at your disposal, and emergency medicine would definitely apply here. So I'm going to call this daring and medicine. I'm going to set the difficulty on this roll up to 3.
You can use a determination if you feel like it.
Yes.
Uh,
And
if
that would get me 2 successes, and I
Yep,
can just
you could
do that
invoke
beforehand.
the point of determination. What value would you be using to invoke this?
Probably all life is precious, but especially your own. I feel like there's just the trying to save a life thing, or I need to make the most of the life I was given.
Hmm.
By
I think the latter definitely works, although the other one could also apply. So either way, I'll give it to you.
let's throw that out there. So 2 successes.
And you score another 2 successes.
All right. Yeah. All right. Come on. Stay with me here. Let's bring you back.
Okay.
Let's
So
get prepped for emergency everything.
Yep. The medical staff coheres around the Mako, and through uh, through a series of through whatever devices are available to try to defibrillate this person, the Mako. You eventually think that you do seem to have some sort of pulse back. The medical sensors are showing very unusual readouts as you undergo that. I'm also going to say that is 1 momentum back to you, which I will assign momentarily. Um, but yeah, from the sensor readouts you are getting, this man seems to have undergone some sort of severe, like neural trauma or shock. Um, it is not consistent with anything that, with any type of injury that you have previously encountered. On the certainly nothing that would have been inflicted even by a shipboard accident of some sort. Um, and there is nothing in this man's medical history that would suggest anything of the sort happening. That would possibly be the case. There's also, just along the man's right arm, signs of some sort of very unusual, not exactly lesion, but change in texture along the flesh and signs of, it's weird, as if the muscle were partially cooked, in a sense, but no signs of like an actual burn.
Right. Well. Okay. Right. Keep an eye on him. I think I got to call this in. We need to figure out what was going on here. See if we can get some security records from Deck 8. Anything that could tell us what was going on here, so we can better treat him and make sure that this doesn't happen again. So I guess he'll call the captain.
Okay.
Right,
Colonel Sharp, there's a readout from the bridge. Sick bay for you.
Doctor, casualty report.
Mostly minor injuries. Shearer's looking not great, but will be fine. We got one formerly corpse. He's doing not fine, but we'll manage. Yeah, so this guy we found on deck 8 in a blackout area, no lights on. He's got some weird injuries, some kind of like one of his arms has almost been cooked, and just not really an idea what's happened to him. I want to see if I can get some more details.
This seems
Maybe
sort
you
of
could send a
like
team to that area.
this seems sort of like some sort of weapon charge or hostile action.
A strange weapon, if definitely not an accident. And if it's a weapon, it's not any kind that I'd know.
One moment, Doctor. She'll switch over to security. Mako's on alert. All squads to their stations, and I want every deck cleared.
Should I signal intruder alert, Colonel, or raise us to full action stations?
Yes, full action stations.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Crichton.
Red lights go off in the background as Crichton begins calling out over a shipwide intercom. Action stations. Action stations. All hands to condition red. This is not a drill.
Ah, a kind of red alert. I like it.
It's a very tiny smile. Security intruder alert. I want every deck patrolled and cleared. Make sure there's no lone crewman without any sort of protection. My brain died. I'm sorry.
You're fine. Security will acknowledge from the armory that they are beginning to distribute arms and deploying security teams along the like in the forward and aft sections in order to verify that everything is, or in order to verify security status.
Do we have a weapons locker in the bridge yet?
You know, I think that'd be Captain's prerogative.
Yeah. There's probably a secured weapons locker, which only has hand phasers, but she'll hand out hand phasers to the bridge crew.
Yep. Phase pistols are distributed around the bridge. Does that include Soral?
I was about to ask, to be honest.
She has the lone phase pistol and looks at it, looks at Soral, and just says baby steps as she just hands over the pistol.
Congratulations.
Will it take smaller steps, sir? I'm not sure what you mean.
Don't worry about it. Here.
Congratulations, Soral. Execute Order 66.
Ah, yes, mutiny. Finally.
Oh, references.
I know what the science team's up to. But yeah, okay. Any further details that we've gotten while medical team thing was going on, or engineering? What's going on?
Let's take a look over, and I guess we can run over to engineering real quick, where Romanov is getting on the scene.
Yeah, so I hear the alert go off. I'll make sure everybody's armed, and if possible, break up a few people to just watch the door and things like that. Stay on overwatch. Does that make sense?
Yeah, there will be a couple security personnel that take positions in engineering, or
Okay.
maybe one inside and a couple out at the access points. But yeah,
And I'll call and just I'll have everybody get their stations, okay, as safely as possible. Obviously, looking for radiation. Is that possible?
everybody is already kind of. The moment you get there, Romanov, you find that the engine room is already going through that process. You happen to see Chief Fernier moving about. Lieutenant Commander, it's good to see you. Sorry.
You guys hopped into motion. I'm sure you guys have an idea about the bad news. Listen up. As you know, the warp reactors and fusion reactors have shut down. We have to try to get them back online. But before we do that, we have to conserve power, because I don't want to lose any power trying to do that process. Okay? So before we assess propulsion systems, I want to secure all power. You guys get it? We got to move fast. We have approximately 8 days of life support on batteries.
Well, we've already been running some of the numbers here. We can start drawing down to at least partial minimals on the environmental systems, although I'd advise a bit of balance. After all, we have some 120, 150 people on board. I'm sorry, I banged my head a little bit. But we don't want to compromise the system too badly if we're I figure we're more likely to maybe turn down the thermostat a little bit.
Yeah, and any groups, once we can get a scan, that Makos could move to a location to conserve energy. If somebody could game that out now, that would be great, because it's the future that I'm more worried about, that we have enough power to do what we need to do. So,
Sure thing.
uh,
We might be able to fire up some. Um, uh, we might be able to fire up thrusters for a moment in order to give us essentially build up some inertia if we needed to. About up to 500 kph. We could probably do that with between the power reduction. It wouldn't hurt us too badly, but we could. I'm not sure how many more days we're gonna buy with that, honestly. And I am still trying to get a sense of what exactly happened here. Sounds like several of the warp coils were just fused all together. The subspace field collapsed. Um, you know, emergency shutdown procedures went into effect. I'm absolutely baffled.
okay, well, for what it helps people, what happened was we were responding to a distress call, as you probably all knew. We were heading into an area known to have subspace fluctuations, uh, and occasionally gives ships trouble. And we apparently hit that trouble as soon as we initiated warp within a few minutes. But look, at the moment, we've got to get all of our engineering options online so that we know what choices we have to deal with the situation. Okay? This is now life or death.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that the information sharing doesn't quite have the impact. There's just more puzzlement from the crew, but they do try to keep to their duties and get to work on trying to
Okay.
get the engine room back together.
Okay. So if we've assessed power, then we'll figure out. I'll do the assessment once they get me all the readings from around the engine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The basics are that indeed the drives are out. The warp reactor is in fact very nearly a lost cause. It could be repaired, but that will require fairly extensive time to do so, or to get it into some working shape. The fusion drives, on the other hand, are more eminently reparable, but they're still somewhat damaged and will require at least a few days, or that is at least a best guess. You may yet be able to push that.
Okay, then, and what would be the repair time on the warp drive?
Oh, there. You get some. You get basically the sort of looks that, as if to say, um, that they couldn't begin to give you a full sense of that. The drive itself
Okay.
is like there are.
They could, but this is more dry dock.
This is a dry dock situation.
They have to pull apart some parts of the engine that shouldn't be pulled apart in general in order to give you a complete answer. And then they also probably need to get into the warp nacelles themselves, which are presently cooling down. Uh,
Okay.
by the way, it might benefit
Yes.
us to shut down the Bassard collectors. Apparently, there's nothing to actually collect out there, so.
Correct. Yeah, that's a brilliant idea. Shut them down now. And look, I'll send the report on the engines immediately, directly, eyes only to the captain. And that we could potentially get the fusion drives online within 3 days. If we have fusion up and running, are we generating extra energy for life support?
That'd get auxiliary power back online, so we could afford to keep places a little warmer. We could run the impulse drives. Maybe not to full impulse, but at the
Okay.
very least, that'd give us something.
Okay, let's do it.
All right.
And she's, comes from, her family fixed boomer ships that would come into Alpha Centauri. So, seeing badly damaged ships doesn't freak her out at all. She'll send up that she's beginning what did I think, 3 days to get the fusion engines online?
Yep.
Okay, send up the 3 day. I'll try to make it faster.
Okay.
You have 2.
Yep. Sternly worded text message comes back. So, with that, Romanov, if you want to actually get a start, then we have an extended task on the matter.
Okay.
So, this is going to be a control and engineering role. The magnitude of this is going to be 4, which will also mean the difficulty actually starts up at 4.
Okay. So, control and engineering, and then we're getting the fusion drives back online. That means making sure that the electroplasma power systems are working, because I have a focus in that.
That is definitely a component of the job that you have to do.
Okay.
So, how this will work, control and engineering, you will have it as a difficulty 4 task with a resistance on the work track of 3, and that work track is going to run to a total of 24.
Okay. Then I'd like to apply my electroplasma power systems focus
So,
on that.
certainly.
Okay. And complication range is 2.
Complication range will only be 1.
Okay, that's good news. Okay, let's see. There we go. I'm going to apply every problem has a solution for 2 automatic successes. Is that correct?
That would apply.
Okay, so I'm applying that before the roll because I
Mhm.
want to make sure that this is the heart of the matter.
Indeed so. That will be 3
Nice.
successes. It is unfortunately just 1 shot. Oh wait, but with the determination, that does give you 5 successes. So that is in fact just enough to get the work started on the fusion drives. Go ahead and roll me. That would be 2 challenge dice plus your discipline, which should make for a total of 7.
Okay, so what do I do? Just slash roll 2d6 or
What you can roll that from your character sheet, just below the task roll where you set the d20s. Go to you should see a challenge dice slot. Set that to 7. Press enter, and then press the comm badge button next to the challenge dice to go ahead and give it a roll.
okay, 7. And how did we come up with 7? How did
That is 2 plus your discipline.
2 plus your discipline?
Yep.
Okay.
Which, since it's engineering, that's a total of 5.
And the 2 came from my original successes, right?
No, that's just a base roll that you make, basically.
Okay.
When you are rolling for success on a work track, that's basically how it works. Okay, so try that again. I think that the sheet glitched on you there.
I'm sorry. I'm having a little.
No,
says
I think this is a known issue. That's why I advised to go ahead and roll. Press enter before you rolled.
Okay, so
Just
press
roll it
enter.
again.
Okay.
It should work the second time around. Okay, so that is 4 work. It is resisted by 3, so that will put 1 work on the work track. So Romanov, as you pull the damage control teams together, you make your way you make your way further aft in the ship to where the main fusion reactors are located. That being up on decks 8 and 9 on the impulse deck. The fusion reactors, there are numerous red lights going off of them as they went into an emergency shutdown. Some sort of sudden power spike seems to have rendered them inoperable for the time being. There are signs of physical components that are damaged. Damage control engineers are already setting to work on this point, and people are starting to just try to pick up the pieces, as it were. Um,
Well, it's a really good engineering team, and she's very impressed with how they're handling everything. But she's tried to keep them focused, so now that's paying off.
Yep. That said, despite your best efforts and despite their very best measures on this, the work is extremely slow and grueling as you attempt to. You start off just trying to access basic command systems from the consoles. To find the consoles themselves are practically burnt out. A lot of systems in here just need wholesale replacement, and the resulting time that this takes slows down your work significantly. So
I'm gonna put that in a report and send it to the captain, so the captain knows right where we're at.
Indeed. So we
Eyes on straight to her.
Yep, we cap off this first go with a single point of work on the work track. And this will ensue over the next few hours just so that you can get started. Um, Elsewhere along the ship, let's see. I guess we can cut back to the bridge where Colonel Sharp, you are steadily awaiting some signs of reports. At present, none of the Makos have reported anything. They've distributed flashlights in addition to standard weapons because the emergency lighting systems are being a little inconsistent, or there are sections of the ship that remain quite dark from those reports.
Mm-hmm.
There's just otherwise, everyone is trying to pick up the pieces. Power conservation measures are going into effect on a limited basis. Um, Connolly is looking over from his console. Oh, Captain, I think I'm trying to figure out something. Well, wait a minute. Uh, Mr. Sorrel, I think I have an idea here.
Oh.
There, my navigational sensors might not have picked it up, but there might have been a very subtle bit of possibly delta radiation that could have been emitted from some part of the warp trail that we wouldn't usually account for. If we try to make a readout on that, we might get a sense of some sort of warp trail, so we can figure out if if we actually moved here, or if kind of something that gets us an idea there.
Whether we moved here or were simply brought here. That's a good idea, Conley. Sorrel, any weight to it?
I lean over the science visor to find the Delta Trail.
I think it'd be a reason and science roll here. Something like at that point it's a base difficulty too, but you got those advanced sensors there, so it's only a difficulty 1. Captain, do we have any medicine for this metaspeak?
Snap out of it, man! Slap him.
Yeah.
Dramatic TOS music plays.
Man,
it's a
I've been watching
difficulty
that
1,
lately.
right?
Yes.
Come on.
Oh,
what
man.
the hell?
So that is.
Can I?
You haven't spent your determination yet, so you could tap it for a reroll if you have an appropriate value. For those at home that are listening, That is not only 0 successes, but that is 1 complication on there. So
Good God.
Is it? Should already burn all determinations, or should we just take that?
Just take the determination, like,
Yeah.
or use determination, because good God, we're doing
So
terribly so far.
it's your choices.
Wow.
Since you've rolled a complication, you may, since you still have your determination, you can invoke a value and use that point of determination to re-roll your dice pool. You may give the GM 2 points of threat, or you may accept a narrative complication.
I mean, you could just give him the threat
It is
if you want to
entirely
save.
your choice.
If you want to save it.
A question about the rules.
Mhm.
Now, if we had enough momentum, can't you buy a complication off?
Yes,
You
two.
Yeah,
could,
that's
but you,
We only
giving
have
him
one.
threat.
That, is that a what is that? 2 momentum to do that?
it is.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
Hmm. I mean, with a reroll, we would have a chance to succeed. If you just give him threat to buy it off, we don't get anything. We just fail without exploding immediately.
It's up to you. Like, it's your determination, my dude.
I'm absolutely talking to the room here.
Yeah.
He is rationalizing what must be done.
Yes. I execute a captain and steer the ship out of here. Yeah, come on. I burned the determination to get a reroll. Can I? Is that then just a plain reroll, or do I get Can I like play it again? Can I use both signs, for example, buy another die for threat, or is it
Full reroll.
the same
You
rules?
so
reroll.
the invoke by using the point of determination to affect a reroll. We actually have the specific rules of that in the sheet here, which I will read out for you. That is considered a moment of inspiration. So after a task roll, the player may re-roll as many dice in their dice pool as desired. Now I will actually be nice here. I will let you roll for the ship first, just to see that if you succeed, you can see whether that would get you a success or not. If that doesn't,
Right.
then you could. The rules have been clarified in the past to suggest that you can actually re-roll not only your own dice, but those of people or ships assisting you.
Cool.
Sensors and signs from the ship, that is.
No. But you now have 3 dice to reroll.
It's spectacular. Yeah, I just use my value. Progress is challenging one's own concept
hang
of
on,
truth.
We have advanced sensor suites. What does that do?
That
Lowers
reduced
the
the difficulty from 2 to 1, which was
Okay.
already accounted
Alright.
for. You have
Alright,
no
yeah.
successes on the board, however, so it
Yeah,
doesn't count.
I'm
for sure.
re-rolling. I'm just plain re-rolling all my dice.
Yep.
Spending my determination, just hoping for the best.
Okay.
That's slightly better.
And Sharp, you may try for the ship. That is 2 successes. You get
Yay!
back a point of momentum. Sure enough, you do account for the faint signs of delta radiation outside the ship.
Swear to God, if you said there's nothing now after all of this.
There.
By his prophets.
Proceeding basically from the after the ship, going back, it does indeed verify the numbers that Connolly gave of about 13 seconds spent at warp 2.
So there's
Which
a
is still
trail
pretty
that
far
would lead us
distant.
out of here.
Yep.
But it's still like somewhere around like few 100,000 or million kilometers.
Connolly looks back to you and says, 31,178,415 kilometers.
How long is that an impulse? If I just run this through my Vulcan head?
We don't have impulse. We have thrusters at 500 kph.
Oh, only thrusters.
That'll take us. He kind of squints and nods. Right about 7 years to cross at thrusters.
Well, I better get started now, Conley, if you can, please. Though before we activate thrusters, just so we even know that we're in the galaxy or the known universe, is there any drift?
Well, that's the thing. We are literally nowhere. Even between galaxies or between arms of the galaxy, there would be matter. There would be radiation. There would be something.
That's what I'm asking. There's no drift at all. No winds. No extragalactic or solar winds. Nothing. Nothing pushing against
Un-
the hull itself.
unless I'm being told otherwise right now, no.
Then the answer is no.
Excellent.
Yeah. Excellent. Right. All right, Conley, if you can do the honors, swing this thing around.
Okay. Setting the 7-year trip towards home. Oh man, I don't like the idea of that.
I mean, it could be worse. It could be 70.
Saral.
Yes.
She just gives you a look of like,
That would be quite a voyage.
Oh. Yeah. I hope it ends with us making it home though.
I mean, it would
I,
be a very long adventure if you don't, because there's nothing in here.
yeah, yeah.
if the two of you are bored, there are plenty of repairs that can be made. She says,
Oh,
I mean, also the fact that we have our own black box on board has not yet been made common knowledge, right?
nope.
Good.
No. Connolly fires up the thrusters, succeeding at that, but also taking a complication. I will
God
give
fucking damn it.
I will give you the opportunity to put in. Do you want to buy it off? Give me threat, or enact a narrative complication.
I'm for narrative at this point. I feel like the universe is trying to tell us
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, just do narrative. Let's do narrative and hopefully that'll be the end of it.
Oh, all right. I guess. Course is set, laid in. Thrusters moving without a hitch. Uh,
He's moving
I
backwards.
I suppose, Captain, for now, if there's, I do kind of want to be useful right now. If I can't go all that fast, or there's not really need to maneuver, I'll volunteer for repair work.
She'll just nod. I'll probably join you in a moment.
Oh, great! I did bonding time with the captain, insights into your career. Do you think that there's a room in Starfleet, or do you think that there's a chance that an old stick and rudder type like me might make it? I'm not really that old, I guess. But I don't know.
Conley. Less talking, more repairing.
Yes, sir. And
uh,
Connolly will get up. It's transparent to anyone that he is a mix of nerves and excitement over everything that's going on now.
No.
while all of this is kind of happening, Soral would definitely continue like scanning the surroundings, running through different settings and subsettings and whatever variations come to mind. I assume the results will be the same, but we would still run through them to confirm. And also, I would like to take a look where the warp trail leads us, if anything can be detected from there. Like,
Indeed.
is there a doorway, a window, or has that closed, or like?
So, for one momentum, I would be willing to allow you to obtain all of that information.
Sure.
Okay, so dropping the 1 point there. Um, In terms of where the course is taking you, there are signs of some unusual exotic particle activity that vaguely seems to that might suggest something a little more interesting, or a larger concentration of delta radiation, which would be consistent with a kind of the burst of energy from a warp field. The way that it looks, Saral, is almost as if to liken it to some well, near as I could put it in words that or as you could conceptualize it in a way that most organic minds might understand. It is as if the ship crashed through a window of some sort, and or like maybe not that, more a membrane or a some sort of material that, while it shattered, it also left residual traces that tethered to the ship or hooked in or something. Ties purely meant to link to the subspace field that the warp drive was operating off of, and that the resulting tear, first off, would have logically induced a very high burst of energy, which would explain the considerable damage you've sustained. That'd be enough to disrupt the most of the power systems and whatnot.
Mhm.
But it would kind of explain that.
Yeah. And uh, this is a bit of a meta question. This is something that Sorrel definitely wouldn't ask specifically from the readouts or anything, because he is lacking the knowledge. But I don't detect tachyons. And do we know that tachyons are associated with temporal phenomena at this point? Would also be a question.
Um, So I would say that there might be some awareness or discussion of tachyons as a theoretical particle. However, as I'm sure Soral has long since deemed bullshit, the Vulcan Science Directorate considers time travel to be an impossibility.
To be fair, that would be all the more reason for Sorrel to believe there might be something to it.
Yep.
Just out of sheer stubbornness at this point.
The
No, but it's like he is not looking specifically for it. It's just like if it
you know,
screams at him,
I
basically.
will tell you one other thing. There's something very interesting.
Oh god.
As you begin scanning around, you actually pick up a readout of a. You are picking out signs of one sort of exotic particle, a neutrino, and the readout is actually like moving inside the ship as near as you can tell. It appears to be the concentration of a few particles. It's extremely slim. It wouldn't, if not for the sophistication of the ship's sensors, then you might not have detected it. And indeed, it was initially reading at the edge of near the edge, but still inside the ship. However, it is something that you are tracking on internal sensors right now.
So another two-dimensional reading.
Um, not
Or
a,
did I
not
it sounded like it.
it's you can't discern necessarily the dimensions of whatever it is, but it, it is damned peculiar to see a neutrino particle moving through. Mostly because those typically tend to be emitted by stars themselves, um, and that they move at such extreme speeds. They are also very rarely. They tend to pass through considerable bits of matter. Like an organic being living on a planet might have like millions of neutrinos pass through them during their life and might stop one in their lifetime.
Yeah. And that one is just moving through the ship at, I assume, a leisurely pace.
Precisely.
Is it?
It's like gamma radiation suddenly just moving,
Yeah.
like
Is it?
like an old lady.
Is it? Is it? Oh god, how to phrase that? Does the movement indicate intelligence, or is it random?
There is no discernible pattern to the movement. Or if there is, it will
Yeah.
take more time to observe.
Captain, there's something odd in the ship.
That's never a good thing for a captain to hear. What is it, Cyril?
There is it neutrinos or a singular neutrino?
Um, I would say a very few neutrinos, so the plural
Okay.
is justified.
Okay, no, fair. Just like there are some neutrinos that are moving through the ship at a leisurely pace, which,
You,
quite frankly, they just shouldn't.
I'm very well aware. You just told me that also there's nothing out there. So why would there be neutrinos? She says, "Is it moving at a intelligent capacity? How quickly is it moving?"
It doesn't seem to. Everything indicates a random movement pattern, and it's like still looking in the thing. Um, is it anywhere specific,
Uh,
or like is it staying in a specific area?
the current location would suggest it is on deck 6.
It's on deck 6 currently.
Well, we don't have much else to do. Cyril, if you'd like to join me.
Certainly.
Oh, can I come?
Sure, Connolly.
Oh boy. He says, taking his face pistol out of his holster, giving it a twirl, and then restoring his grasp and then setting it back in there.
We should probably get you in a blue uniform as opposed to red. It's a little messy right now. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, out of character, but I just realized that he's a red shirt.
Connolly has
Remember,
gold
shirt, yeah.
stripes, with all due
Oh, he's gold
respect.
stripe.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's.
then he's fine. He's okay.
Mhm.
All right.
So, the three of you begin making your way down in the into the bowels of the ship,
If
specifically.
anything, the problem would be he becomes a god, which happens. Unfortunate amount of times, but it happens.
5 nickel for every time.
I, that sounds like there'd be some strange energy involved there.
All we need is a big rock.
I
Anyway.
don't get any of these references.
Don't
Moving on.
worry, neither do I.
So, the three of you enter the turbo lift and begin making your way down to um, down to deck 6, where the last readouts were detected. Your arrival your arrival on deck 6, you find that immediately near the turbo lift there is some limited activity in this area. The ship, as you know, at this on this deck, there isn't a whole lot in terms of essential functions. There's access to the main computer core as well as the RCS thrusters. The airlocks are on either end of the hull, but otherwise it's just crew quarters and utilities, basically. So,
Is deck 6 compromised at all?
Deck 6 did have a hull breach, but it was sealed by bulkheads. It was on an outer section that has been that was easy enough to seal off, so there is no further reported atmospheric leaks or anything else of the sort.
Just to be on the safe side, we'll all equip ourselves with rebreathers. No, we're not going full EVA, but just make sure that we have some oxygen,
Okay.
especially in the trinos.
So that we'll say that there are emergency vacuum kits that are available to you.
Yeah.
Okay, so you arrive on deck 6, and yeah, if it wasn't said before, it is quite dark in here. The emergency lights are only partially active right now. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I'm using the tricorder, obviously, which are very bulky
Yep.
at this time, and I
Oh.
also have to look down on. It's like, do you get like a neck massage as a science member? Because you're just constantly craning over things. And I would like to guide us as much as possible and
Okay.
catch anything else that's
I
around.
want to keep an eye on things a little bit, but I want to find the nearest EPS and try to repair it enough so I can get full lighting back.
Okay. Let's see. I guess to start with, Saral, I'm going to ask you for one reason and science roll. Difficulty on this will just be 1. Okay.
I'm
You.
really thin today.
Yep. Yeah, something going on with that. You are at least confident that the whatever neutrino emission you're getting is somewhere to starboard. So, yeah, there is a corridor that will allow you to take a right turn out towards the deck.
Well, I guess while the captain is fiddling with the EPS, I would go like a couple steps in that direction and
I wait.
continue to scan.
Which way do I go? Do I follow the captain or follow Saral?
Here, hold the light.
Okay.
Saral, don't go too far.
Of course not, Captain. I'm just dramatically far enough away that if anything happens, I'm too far away.
Yep.
Um,
Saral, you begin to make your way out a little bit further, and the reading begins to seem like it's closer. It seems to be moving at, I would say, I'd say probably an acute angle of some sort. It is likely at the rate you're going to converge on your location, or at least it seems to. It will start and stop, sometimes backtrack a little bit, but you are definitely on a nearer path to finding whatever the source of that reading is.
Well, 2 questions. Is there any other optical changes, I would guess, in the area? Is there like anything that happened aside from, well, subspace membrane impact? And secondly, if I change position, does it still seem to converge on me?
Um, any changes that you make in position do not seem to impact its decision making, if you can call it that in any way. Um, near as you can tell, yeah, it's just whatever movement it's being made still doesn't have a discernible pattern. It seems to be conforming at the very least to the corridor.
I assume the scans also reveal like no new information.
No, there's nothing further you can discern other than those neutrino readouts. You begin making your way further from the captain and Connolly. Their voices becoming indistinct as you begin to move further out.
can I
Well,
sense with my a number of experiences dealing with command in various fashions, that someone is walking too far away?
You've probably got that instinctive feel, but
I was just about to say I would probably try to be in like calling distance.
yep. You could probably shout and still be heard if it came to it.
Yeah, that's fine then.
Yep.
God fucking damn.
As you
I'm in danger.
Yep. You set the sensors to a narrow band, continuing to track
if
the.
if if, if I feel Sorrel's going way too far, I'll say, Conley, I'm fine here. Make sure Sorrel doesn't die.
I will do exactly that.
Send this poor man to his death.
Oh,
It makes sense. I'm sorry, but it does make sense.
but anyway,
Just repair faster.
yep. You continue your work, Saral. You follow the corridor down until you find that you are at a junction, and there's something that will allow you to round the corner. The corridor starts bending either towards the bow or aft sections from where you are headed.
Oh boy. Yeah, I mean, I also there's part of it obviously not that I just want to go further than supposed to, but that I'm just like focused on figuring this thing out and just not
Oh no, 100%. I got you.
thinking things
Yep.
through. So yeah, I would.
Which is why she sent Connolly, just to make sure that you're freaking don't do something stupid.
Yep.
So it's just like, that's really odd. And yeah, I would absolutely round the corner.
And as you do, the neutrino readings begin to fluctuate, and you're having trouble getting an exact read on them. Sharp, you're elbow deep in in the EPS conduit, trying to restore some functionality, desperately trying to get something to work when you hear the sound of the conduit next to you, like bounce a little bit against the wall.
I immediately hop backwards and grab my phaser.
You pull the phaser and you have it trained on the figure who's there, which you find. Wait! No! Play it cool, Captain. It's just me. It's just Chief Justice. It's your Chief
Justice.
Justice. I'm sorry. I think the comm system malfunctioned. My alarm was offline too, so I was only set to just come on shift just now, and I don't know what's going on. Who turned out the lights? Why are you fixing this?
Can I roll insight on him?
Yep.
I think I would know what fictitious characters are.
Chief Justice doesn't exist.
Inside and command or inside security?
Insight and command.
All right. Diplomacy?
Not
I
really.
don't lie when I see one. Okay. All right. Let's go. Hey, not
Okay.
bad.
You get a point of momentum, and it occurs to you that Chief Justice is not only an actual Chief Willie D. Justice, very specifically, is not only an actual real member of your crew, but he was a pilot that Shira issued a commendation to for his conduct
no.
on.
Yeah, no, I got that. I'm just making sure that he wasn't some sort of like manifestation or something else. Like it really is Chief Justice.
Oh. Between his sunglasses all the time and laid back persona, if this is an impression of Willie D. Justice, then they nailed it. And this man is
any
too.
any alien entity that's trying to copy someone. That's not a real person.
Yep. This is the one and the only Chief Justice standing before you. There's no copying that style. Yeah.
He's doing finger guns.
Yep.
She'll relay what happened. Where it's stuck somewhere in a some sort of dimension with literally nothing. We're making our way back. Systems are down, warp reactors down, but we're making repairs.
Holy shit, that's terrifying.
We'll make it through. This is just one little hiccup.
Well,
have you seen Conley?
Or
Sorrel?
I just came from the forward section. I haven't seen anybody here. You're the first person I met, but I'll get right down to the I guess I can go to the
No,
shuttle bay
stay
if you
here.
want, or see.
Stay
Okay.
here for a moment. Soral, Conley.
As you call back, it is a little out of earshot now, Saral, that since you've made it out around the corner. It is merely you and the faint light of your scanner and maybe the intermittent flicker of the corridor around you from some of the emergency lights.
By the way, I'm still working on the
So,
damn lights.
Yep.
basically home.
Yep. As the narrow band on the neutrino emissions fluctuates, you think that the position is actually. Well, at first you thought it was ahead of you, but now inexplicably. Wait. Now it's behind you. An arm, like a hand catches on your shoulder. Hey, Saral!
What do I roll to not just reflexively nerve tinge him?
I believe that would be command and control. And given that Saral isn't quite the typical Vulcan, I might give that a difficulty too if you really want to do the jump scare roll.
Well, I mean, you set it up that way. Don't talk me into things.
Get an extra die. We have 3 momentum.
Nah. I have very good control.
Yep. Nonetheless, being a more emotional Vulcan, tell me, Saral, is there any sort of how would you say Saral reacts without automatically murdering Conley necessarily?
Well, I don't think murder was on the table. Next time, maybe. Um, probably just whirl around and just grab his wrist. Maybe just a bit too strong. Vulcan's strength and such.
Mhm.
It's like, Conley, shouldn't sneak up on people.
Oh,
And just let go.
oh, okay. I'm sorry. He starts taking a couple steps back. I understand. Tricky situation. I should be more careful. Saral, the
It's
instant that
fine.
he says that, it's hard to describe exactly what it looks like. It is as if Conley, well, if you were to imagine him on his back, then perhaps it would be as if he were laying in a pool of some dark, opaque liquid. Except for that, as it comes up behind him and as it enmeshes the sides of his face and his limbs, it also comes through it like it's as if the same liquid were spouting out of his mouth, and eventually his nose.
Can I
Go ahead.
just pull him towards me?
You want to reach for him? That would be if you do that. It is a daring and security roll, and I'm going to spend 3 threat to increase the complication range by 2.
Yeah, I think I have to.
Okay.
My values say I have to.
At this moment, Conley
Um,
seems like something is going on to where practically he is drowning or something is going on to that effect. Indeed, the moment that it came over his face, he began to
I
just
would buy
convulse.
another die for that.
Okay.
I don't have any focuses that I could even theoretically argue for. Troubleshooting?
I see you're having trouble with existence here.
Yes.
Have you tried turning it on and off? Okay, you pull him clear. Connolly, however, convulses like in your arms as he falls forward and then just stops moving.
What is the pool doing?
At this point, like based on the I will say Conley has a flashlight which he has dropped, and catches a little bit along with the residual light, you make out that there is some sort of amorphous substance or thing there. As it's presently cohered, it is as if two rounded like spinning tops were basically connected to each other with like the wide parts connecting at either end, basically two cones atop each other. Although it doesn't maintain that precise sort of shape. And I should say like two cones with the either tip, such as they are, sort of facing like referencing the top and bottom, and the wide part essentially through the middle. There might be something about it that suggests some sort of rotation or some sort of movement within it. Perhaps it is more a swirling quality. Um, Indeed, some bits of it seem to like reshape and just there's no defined like structure that you could make out as far as this thing goes, but it just seems to be staying immediately before you, um, where Conley was standing moments ago.
So it's currently not moving.
Precisely.
I like I like to well not by keeping my eyes on the the thing. I would like to like check his pulse.
Uh, he's dead, Saral.
I mean, I would bemoan that I don't get to roll, but my medicine is shit. Um, um,
You could like open your communicator or whatever and call medical emergency.
did I ever receive a communicator?
I'm sure that they gave that Sharp would have given that to you before she gave you a phase pistol.
Yeah.
There are also wall panels because that's the era that they're in, where you push the button and you talk into the speaker and
Okay. Then I would. I mean, I'm reasonably sure that he's gone and there's nothing I can do at this point.
Yep.
So I would kind of flip out the communicator and take some careful steps backwards and just say, go Soral to the captain and medical. Medical emergency, deck 6, corridor 15, intersection 5. Captain, I've made contact.
For this time that I kept myself busy, can I turn on the fucking lights?
uh, Captain, what you come to realize is that there is just part of this is the emergency light system has sustained damage from the same power burst that has struck the rest of the ship. I will give you that maybe some lights come back online, but a lot of it is just non-functional with
I
the
can only
general lack of
reroute so
power.
much. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. All right. She will stop what she's doing and grab her phaser and head over.
Chief Justice will come with you, although he himself is unarmed. So you rush down the corridor and find just around the intersection. You can make out Saral, and are you still holding Conley, or did you drop the empty shell that it is his body now?
Um, I probably left him where he dropped. And if I hear them running forward and I see them coming around, I would just immediately like stop.
Yep.
It's right
She'll
in front of
freeze.
me.
She'll freeze.
And you can indeed see some sort of dark shifting form, amorphous and like uncertain of its precise dimensions, but it just seems to be maintaining a position near Saral and the body of Vincent Conley.
attached from the EGM.
Oh, taking a look now. Um, maybe similar in shape and look, but not. I'd say not remotely like the
Okay.
same matter type thing. But yes, for those there, a good reference point, I guess, for this would be if you think the general shape and look of Aramis from the TNG episode in the past, that would actually be a very good way to like consider the general aesthetic of this. However, it doesn't conform in terms of like the you know where Aramis was like a goopy you know cast off shell of something greater. This does not signal any sort of intent. It does not even have like a consistent sort of structure. It is a constantly flowing sort of thing.
All right. When he spoke, when Saral spoke, did the creature seem to take notice to the noise?
There was no perceptible reaction or change beyond what you have observed.
Yeah, that would have been my question as well. Is this because I'm still trying to figure out, is this just some anomaly in this weird space? Or is it like some kind of intelligence? So I suppose that there's no sign of intelligence, no regular signals that could indicate speech or whatever or anything the like.
There's nothing that I mean, you can attempt to roll for it one more time, but otherwise it is not projecting anything that would suggest speech, communication, intelligence, anything that you would recognize.
What happened, Saral?
I was following the scan, and then it suddenly switched position behind me, and at that same time, Conley was also behind me. Didn't hear him coming, and then it just moved through him.
Can you carefully, obviously, check your tricorder to see if there's any other of these around, or is this just the one?
I mean, I've previously only discovered one. If I check again, is there still only one? Well, I assumed it was one at least.
I will allow you to roll a reason and science roll with a difficulty. Let's call this 3 here, just to exhaust anything here.
Reason
Actually,
science.
I think that I will set the minimum like level of answers to give you something relatively certain to 2, but for a full range of success here, or rather for a full exhaustion of Soral's knowledge, it will go as high as 5.
Excellent. I will buy a die with threat.
I will accept.
Uh,
There
and
we go.
I will use my bold science to re-roll the 0 in the hope for a better result. Yes.
5 successes
No.
on that roll. That was two sets of 2 on the initial roll, and with bold science, since you bought that last die with a point of threat, the re-roll that you were able to do because of that gave you the final success you need. Zaral, from what you've put together with the initial ship scans and what you've put together with that tricorder, you can pretty exhaustively verify that outside of your outside of the neutrino particles, which this entity construct, however you choose to think about it, whatever it is, you have absolutely no way to actually detect this or track it. There is nothing in any science as you understand it that would allow you to discern that answer without the neutrino traces here. The only thing you can definitively say is that this is here in front of you now, and only because you can infer that it's there from what you see with your eyes and what your tricorder tells you with the stopped particles. This is something very much beyond the it probably any science of the day to explain, detect, or otherwise discern.
Okay, but there are no other traces anywhere of a similar.
This is
thing.
the only trace so far of anything there, but there is, of course, the possibility, as you recall, there were two hull breaches that were reported.
As far as I can tell, is only one. But to be frank, Captain, I can't even. Our scanners can't even detect it. We basically see it moving through our space, but we don't see it itself. So it's very hard to pinpoint.
All right. Okay. How close did you
I
manage?
should remind you though that there were two hull breaches.
She like just kind of twitches her head a little bit. Understood. How close did you manage before whatever happened to Conley? Conley happened to Conley.
I mean, how close was I? Like arm's reach?
Very
About?
likely, and I mean you
Okay.
were probably mere centimeters from actually making contact with it yourself when you pulled Connolly clear of it. You just grasped an area that was outside of the construct or entity.
Centimeters.
All right. I need to do something for me. I need you to grab Conley and at the most extreme you can and drag him around the corridors. There should be a alternate corridor to get you around here and out of this threat range. Get it back to sickbay. Get Conley back to sickbay.
As you say
I
this,
want to know what
Captain,
happened.
it begins to move towards you.
She will take a few steps back, definitely pushing Justice back, and I'm going to. It's in the darkness, right? Like you said, aside from a little bit of light hitting it.
There's a bit of light that is helping to define it. This does not seem to reflect light in any sort of semblance. So you are more inferring where it is based on where there is an absence of dark. Imagine essentially this is
Yeah.
like Vanta black, so it's like
Yeah.
Oh, you're
Question.
seeing dark in the dark. Ah.
Wherever it's touching, is it like burning through it, burning through the hole, the carpet? What?
It doesn't actually seem to be making contact with any environment around it, or that is to say that it is actually a few millimeters above the ground and above, or like below the ceiling. Um, that said, it seems to pass through at least one bulkhead at one of its edges effortlessly, or there is no, like, it is as if it were not there.
Is it staying within the darker areas? Is it heading towards light? It's
It
not giving a
is.
shit.
It, there's nothing discernible to its course of action.
All right. How fast is it moving?
I would say a very leisurely at a very leisurely stride or pace. There is absolutely no hurry behind it. There is no discernible reason for it to hurry if it is indeed motivated by thought.
All right. I am going to say, Sherall, get Connolly's body back to the sick bay. And she just backs up. I am Captain Lillian Sharp of the SS Aegis. Can you understand me? She says as she backs up, trying to keep distance. Can
Matching
you
or maybe going
comprehend my
slower.
language?
Sorry, matching or even going maybe slower than your pace, it just continues to advance.
All right. I'm going to, since there's literally nothing out here, and there has been some interesting reports I recall, I'm going to head to one of the actually lit up area, like fully lit up areas, and walk through it, and see if a wall also walks through it.
Well, in order to do this, I think that you would have to make a turn, to which it will not follow you.
All right. I'm going to pull my communicator out, and say, first to Sral. Sral, it seems to be a little shy towards the light. Keep within the lighted areas. And then switch over to Romanov. Captain Romanov.
Yeah. What's up?
We seem to have some sort of void-born creatures on board.
Okay.
How are we with the lights? Any way we can turn them on full blast?
Where are we with the lights? Can we afford some light time?
The engineers kind of look about themselves. How much and how long do you want it?
How much? How long?
Let's give it as much as we can for an hour, just so we can have understanding and bearing of what the hell's going on.
Okay. How much will that drop us?
The look and general sense you get from the engineers is other engineers is like it would shave minutes for at least the section that they're talking about lighting.
Okay, can we just light that area and that'll save
No,
us?
she's talking about the whole ship. Like
Whole
turn on the tunnel lights inside the ship.
Okay, got it.
Might shave off a bit more time, but the EPS system is what is losing most of that because of the you know
Damage.
the lights are being run off the EPS grid, and that requires considerable heating for a plasma system.
Okay, then we'll do that. It's going to have an effect. Just be aware. We're going to be
So
down
I'm
power.
very well there. Thank you, Miss Romanov. Lining up.
Lighting up.
okay, Romanov, I'll just ask for one control and engineering roll. Call this difficulty 1.
Could I create a advantage to reduce the resistance of this task? For example,
Well, that's for the extended task. You don't have any resistance on lighting things up here.
Okay, great. Control engineering and plasma power systems.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. One success.
Okay. I believe I'd set it to 1, unless I was mistaken.
We're turning on the lights through EPS.
Yeah.
So
So, Sharp, as you peek down around, as it takes a few moments, but the the lights do come back on, and you see it in its full definition of just this Vanta black swirling mass ahead of you, so dark that it feels like the light is just perpetually falling into it, that your own gaze feels like it's falling into it. But as the light changes, it reacts in no perceptible way, just continuing its movement. It moves forward, it moves back, it starts moving up.
With my space-based navigation, what is up above us? Like going up the decks.
So, from your knowledge of the ship, it would be moving up to deck 5. That will probably cross it over into environmental control systems if it proceeds.
Shit. She will say in the communicator, Captain's environmental controls, evacuate the room immediately. And she's just going to use her phaser and shoot ahead of it to try to discourage it.
So that will be control and security, difficulty 2. And I'm going to ask Captain, do you when you fire, do you sustain that beam, or will you just give it a quick burst? Like if it were to move in this path, would it connect with the beam?
No. I don't want to hurt it. I just want enough to warn it and try to just put something in its path. Basically putting like a wall, because it's literally a particle beam. So yeah, a literal wall. So like as if like a wall dropped right in front of it, and see if.
Okay, so control and security.
Yep. The answer is no. I don't want to hurt it. But I will say, Zach.
Yeah.
That if it still seems like keeps going, yes, I will double tap.
Okay. So first, give me the roll.
Yep. Control security.
I mean, I guess you do, since you aren't targeting it specifically, it would only really matter for complication purposes. So I will say that I can allow you to bypass the first shot if you wish.
Sure.
Yeah.
Does it keep going?
It does.
Okay.
Your particle, your phase pistol does nothing to dissuade it.
Yep. Then I will shoot. Oh God. No, she'll say, no, it's got to risk it. She'll say, Captain to transport room.
Chief Jemison here, go ahead.
I need a site to site in this coordinates, and I give the literal lateral coordinates of where that thing is moving.
Site to site. That it's kind of
we've done before. Do it again.
Oh. All right.
Hey, I've already taught them, Zach.
They're not happy with it, but they'll give it to you. So
we're just gonna toss it out.
Yeah.
Toss it out of the ship.
Oh, you're going to try and beam the thing out?
Yep, I am taking a block of space in that where it's going to move, and whatever, just grabbing everything in that space and just throwing it out like 500 or max distance outside the ship.
Okay. To which, partly to invoke the value here, Jemison will respond, Captain, are you sure these are the right coordinates?
I am full aware, yes.
And that will allow him to that NPC to tap their value. They will gain the auto critical success. They will they will roll 2d20s for the roll, and they have a focus in transporters. 3 successes, which, while it isn't enough to conduct the full beam out, let's see exactly how much this does. As the transporter beam locks onto the area around the space, there is a sudden change in texture for this entity. It begins to vibrate as if suddenly, like violently. It's imagining like a pool of water that is constantly trembling, and there's all manner of small like blotches and bubbling of things that just begins to vibrate at this rate. A sound begins to pierce the air. It is loud and horrendous. Saral, Chief Justice, Colonel, all of you feel feel this deeply unpleasant sonic sensation, as if something not quite a shriek rings out, and that goes for 3 points of stress to each of you. So not enough for an injury, but enough to clasp your
Hurt.
hands to your
Yeah.
ears, yeah. Saral especially.
What's that supposed to mean?
Your hearing is sensitive. You are a Vulcan.
Yeah, with the ear jokes again. HR will hear of this.
That's a damn trait. None of that bullshit. I would. I'm not causing. Hey, I'm not giving you any extra stress. So, but yeah, while the thing just begins to disintegrate before you as the beam tries to take it elsewhere until finally it just gives out completely. The entity before you is just gone.
She holds one of her ears and says, Captain Jensen, did it transfer on the other side? Or is it what happened?
I can't get a readout. Something like the beam managed to connect to that area of space, but something I can't explain it. Something just when I was locking onto that region and attempting to compress it, some unusual subspace effect kicked in. I lost complete annular confinement, and I mean, it should have just reverted back to normal space essentially, or like it would have reverted back to its normal state of matter. Basically, a failed transport. But nothing
She
should have
frowns
changed
at that.
there.
She just frowns at that, and she'll switch over to Romanov. Romanov, I need that fusion reactor up as fast as possible.
Working on it. It's going to be a process.
It needs to be a faster process. I'm heading back to the bridge.
Where? I'm giving it to you straight so that you understand right where we're at.
Where we might have company. So it needs to be faster.
Okay, I'll do what I can.
So,
yeah, I'm going back up the bridge to figure out what the fuck just happened.
as you maybe take the briefest of lookbacks, Chief Justice is trying to help Connolly back up.
No, we've gone. I mean, as soon as the captain told us to leave, I grabbed Conley.
Oh,
yeah,
and moved backwards.
Okay. Justice runs
through
around the corner once the thing is cleared out of the way, in order to help you bring him around. Oh. No. Ensign Conley wasn't much of a gambler, but he was always fun to have around.
she'll just nod. We can give him a funeral after all this. Once we're out of here.
Justice will sort of momentarily lament the loss. A rare, somber moment for this otherwise perfectly cool customer.
Jovial person. Yeah.
Yep.
Does he take off his sunglasses?
He does.
Oh shit.
He presses F to. This is the press F to pay respects moment.
Yeah.
Well, I guess there's a dark cloud over this situation, he says, and he puts his sunglasses back on. The musical cue
somewhere in the background. Yeah.
Yes, the musical cue that need not be named.
Yeah, and at some point,
Okay.
Ral just bursts into the med station. I'm not sure I need a doctor. Why this green blood just probably caked his ears in the side because he was carrying Conley while screeching happened.
Yep. All of you are probably bleeding out the ears at this point. Eardrums are your eardrums are not too happy on you, and there's probably a little bit of ringing.
Yeah. Then I'll probably go med bay too, just to get my ears, make sure I'm not fully deaf.
Yep. So, Doctor, you make your way. They make all their way down to sick bay, where Doctor. It has been an effort to keep the Mako alive, to say nothing of the other sundry injuries and um, small contusions or things. Make sure that anybody that is risking a concussion is tended to. Uh, I'll go ahead and ask you just to give me one more. Let's call this control and medicine, and we'll make this another simple roll here, just a difficulty. Call it 2 for control and medicine, and this is
Okay.
tending to Shira's injuries very specifically.
Control medicine. Are we good for me to spend momentum? Just to.
You
Yeah,
could do so to be sure.
Yeah, is that alright with everyone?
Yeah, you'll use one.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, yeah, with
Alright.
3 successes, you earn back the point of momentum that was spent, so you remain at 3, and you are kind of administering the finishing touches on Shira's antennae. They are probably still going to take a few hours yet to set. She'll be probably still a little disoriented, but the meds that you've given her are working.
Okay, that's good.
She's like, oh, much appreciated, Doc. Doctor, I'm sure that I'll be up in no time with this. I think I'm just gonna take a lie down.
Yeah, take your time. Don't. There's no need to rush. We've got plenty of beds here.
Yep. The door opens to sickbay, and coming in is first at the lead, Mr. Sorrel and Chief Justice, with Ensign Connolly kind of slung over their arms, much as with the earlier patient, totally limp, and behind them, Colonel Sharp.
Right. What's the issue?
What? She gestures to to Conley.
Yeah.
Chief Justice says, "He's dead, John!"
How long? What do you want me to do about it?
put him in. Can you take care of our ears? Take care of our ears first, and then we can talk about what to do with Mr. Connolly.
Sure. I mean, we're all pretty good on the ears front.
Some of your medical staff just starts looking around and is like, "Oh, we can probably stabilize this, doctor. It'll just take a moment, probably another controlled medicine roll. You know, you got a medical team helping you, so go ahead and take a free third dice to reflect that
Oh
advantage
no,
here."
the meta speak is spreading.
That's the true horror story here.
While it's happening, she'll just say, "Hey, Saral, you said
Yes,
that thing had
Captain.
you said that thing had neutrino. Was tagged by neutrinos.
Oh no.
Goodbye,
Oh,
ears.
Okay, let's just burn off our last momentum, just so that doesn't happen.
Yeah. Technically, that
Thank
was the
you.
medical team advantage, and that was very
Yeah, so
specifically
two
one very
momentum.
yeah.
We'll just burn 2 momentum then.
um, it's
You said that thing.
detectable by neutrinos. That's the best explanation I have at this point.
Do you think that neutrinos can further neutrinos could probably tag any other possible ones out there?
They might, but
Uh,
the deflector system is down.
Hmm.
So how would we generate a neutrino wave?
Patel
Okay,
actually looks towards you. Wait, did you see? I'm sorry. Did you say neutrinos?
we
Yes.
did. We did.
Oh! I'm sorry. A little hard of hearing there. Okay, yeah. Uh, I might know why that's happening. There was there was an experiment. I showed you the pad there. It was here.
There's no need to yell.
Okay, I'm
She
sorry.
yells back.
Right. It was actually in a report I gave you yesterday, or rather, I was going to give you, but Shira was injured. Well, that time as well. That time it was the nose and not the antennae. Um,
Get to it.
yeah, no, we were conducting an experiment in one
Thrall,
of
you
the
don't get to say
labs.
that. Patel, get to it.
I'm this old professorial type is just looking perpetually frazzled at the stressful situation and the contradictory orders or requests, depending on how he views them. Uh, Basically, we found we had a device specifically meant to rig up and put out neutrino particles. We could emit them within the ship so that they're detectable.
How long would that take to install?
We might be able to just. I don't know exactly. It was set up in lab conditions. I thought that the containment vessel was going to work so that it wouldn't leak anything out. I guess that part's a bust, but we could probably have emitters up around the ship, go deck by deck, and uh, maybe a few hours.
More importantly, can they get it done without you?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm really fine. I kind of just bumped my knee pretty much, but I can let my science team know. I'll give the order and they'll do their thing and it'll all be good. But I could do this. Put me in, coach.
She'll think about it for a moment. Zach, can you look at my message I sent you into your personal DM a while back?
Let me take just a little look here. Uh,
Because that might change my decision here in a moment.
so I'm sending an answer your way. So I would say the general answer is extreme difficulty.
Okay. So just think about it for a moment and then just nod. I don't know why I'm raising my voice out of character, but maybe I'm
Once
deaf
you get
too.
in the habit,
Yeah.
So, what are we waiting for?
oh,
Just looking around.
I can get things.
She'll say, get your science team working on it. How hard is the process to create neutrinos in general?
I mean,
Can
we
you
have
replicate another one?
we have specialized technology or specialized equipment for it. It'd take time, but I think we could replicate this process. It, it's easier in the lab situation, but with it probably takes some additional power to pull it off here too. We had direct a direct line to the warp reactor on this to generate the particles we had, and we've only got a limited amount. It's oh, I'm
Get started. Get started on the first thing. I might have another idea later if it doesn't work.
okay. All right. Yes, sir. I'll start right on it. And so Patel sets to work, leaving sickbay.
When she looks at Sorrel, she'll say, Sorrel, what other stuff have you not been telling me that you have in your ship right now?
That sounds very explicit. This is like a meta moment. Do I have anything ever experimented with that might be helpful in this situation?
I mean, there are probably always advantages to it. I'm not sure what else would necessarily be in that warp-capable shuttle you have.
And I don't mean just simple mild
I
ninjas. I
mean,
mean really weird stuff, she says.
I mean that is true. We have the shuttle is warp capable, and it has a functioning warp reactor. Does that help us?
That
Patel
might
as he's on
actually.
his way out.
That actually
Oh,
might.
we could use that. We could use that. I know it. I guess it hasn't been kicked up for a little
I can
while.
use that. I can just use that right now. Let
I'm
me
trying desperately
BRB.
to think if the reaction of matter with antimatter creates neutrinos, but I don't know. Felix doesn't know. So
Well, I mean, not always, not expressly, but if we were to jury rig that up to a part of the, if we were to jury rig that with the appropriate equipment up to the ship, then we could probably use that to uh, funnel a bit of the. We could use that to create the neutrino particles that we could funnel through the ship. Patel says.
It can also help funnel a bit more power into systems. Sorrel, if you don't mind losing a bit of your hearing for a while, she gestures to the door. Get work on that.
why would that affect my hearing?
Because we're deaf right now, and I'm kicking out. I'm kicking out sick bay so you can work on it instead of getting your hearing back.
I assume this entire conversation is yelled.
Yeah.
Some of it
It's
is.
not a problem, Captain. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm request in silence anyway.
Good.
Yeah. You haven't suffered proper injuries, so the ringing will eventually come down. And look, there might be some mild hearing loss, but nothing too extreme, or not like a lasting major issue. Um, Unfortunately, the doctor's staff isn't really able to help reduce that because of the failure on the rolls there. Which reminds me,
We will figure something out.
Yep.
Yeah, Patel, send some of your people to the shuttle bay. And I
Oh,
just march out.
yep. So, uh, yeah, time proceeds along that line, and the as things go, I guess the question would be, does anyone have anything else they would like to do, or like expressly scenes that they would like outside of the contingency measure, Sharp?
The contingency measure is going to be private until the very end if things
Yep.
go poorly.
Precisely.
But for the moment, she will make her way over to Romanov.
Okay.
How's it going? I mean, how's it going? She says.
Yeah, your hearing
How
is
is
starting
it
to return.
Well, I'm going to try to make this all happen faster. That's what I'm working on right now.
Yep.
So,
Presuming you've
And
run your way back to the engine room, or very specifically the fusion deck, um,
yeah,
you'll find that
you
the parts of the engine assembly could be taken apart safely, along with several control consoles and all the like. It is all in pieces on as people are trying to shuffle out parts and try to get something working again.
Okay, so here was my thinking. What I want to try to do is reduce the resistance on that on the extended task by trying to rig maybe a replicator that could make smaller parts
You
that
do
would
not
make
have
it easier.
we
replicator
would have
technology.
replicators. We don't have replicator knowledge at all. We literally only have parts in the cargo bay.
Parts in the cargo bay. Then can I create a station that reduces? I want to create a advantage that lowers
Though I would
resistance.
argue we have 3D printers. We have printers. We don't have replicators.
Well, whatever we have, my goal here is to create an advantage by and lower resistance by increasing my crew's capacity to make simpler, smaller parts so that they're concentrated on the bigger job. Whether that's redoing a station, using 3D printers, using those things in conjunction. There you go. That's what I want to do. And
So
I have
and I'm
my
only arguing the 3D printer thing is because Trip makes parts.
yeah,
somehow.
you are correct. So I do have Miracle Worker. What I want to do is take a shot at building something that's going to reduce the resistance of this thing so I have a better chance of doing it faster. Does that make sense, GM?
I believe that does. I do just need to make a quick review of the rules, very specifically around the Miracle Worker talent, because it is so rare to see the really fun or crazy engineering talents make their debut or make their chance. So let's.
I'm waiting for you to use the gene resequencer for the food to somehow help power the fusion reactor.
Hey,
Okay.
maybe let's find out. All those things are on the
So,
table. Say,
all right.
what can I?
So here's what I have found. Miracle Worker, you have a reputation of doing the impossible, repairs or modifications in advance of, or well in advance of expectations, getting offline systems up and running when most needed, and so on. Whenever you use engineering on an extended task, if you achieve a breakthrough and roll at least one effect on the challenge die, you achieve a second breakthrough. So, this is
Would that be my last task?
this would I mean, you didn't score a breakthrough the last time, so it
Oh,
didn't
okay.
apply then. But so far as the advantage goes, if memory serves, as ship's engineer, you do get to essentially call up an advantage of being the chief engineer, so that you can call up an engineering team, and that can help in some manner. If you wish to use it to, say, reduce the resistance of the task you are about to attempt, then I would be willing to give that to you, to say that, they set to work very specifically on specific control components, or that you prioritize the work in such a way to get the reactors working a little faster. Would that be acceptable?
Oh, yeah, definitely. That works. Anything along those lines, that was my thinking. And
Okay.
then I also have I know my ship. I don't know if that helps as well.
Let us review the talents on that as well. That, I believe, I know my ship does. Let's see. That is probably in the core rulebook, so let me just take a quick flip over to page 135. Oh, that was wrong. Okay, so I know my ship. The talent does, whenever you attempt to a task to determine the source of a technical problem with your ship, add 1 bonus d20. I think that you, well,
Yeah, that does not apply. So
yeah, you already know what's going on here.
I already know what's going on.
Yep.
So this is control and engineering. And can I add electroplasma power systems? Because again, I'm dealing with power issues.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. So I have 2 dice. Do you guys want me to spend a momentum on this one?
We only have 1 momentum, so if you want to use it, use it.
There is also threat.
There's also threat. I could just take a threat, guys. We'd go up to 4 and we keep our momentum. How do you want to play it?
How's everybody else feel?
You have to spend momentum to get momentum.
Yeah, so just spend the momentum.
Spending the momentum. GM, I'm having some connection issues, so
Okay.
you should handle momentum. There's a
I've
couple.
taken the momentum.
Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and roll now.
Okay.
Okay,
Oh,
with
Beautiful.
3 successes and a complication.
That
I'd
is,
like to buy that complication off with a threat.
that will cost 2 threat.
Okay.
All right. So
what is
that
going
is.
on with the dice today?
I think
Now,
that.
I would like to invoke the ship could roll because it could assist me in this, or I could get assistance from an NPC.
I will give you an NPC since we've established that there are people around. The ship is not really able to help because it is broken. It is quite
Makes
broken right now. That said, your quartermaster, Chief Fernier, is helping out with some damage control elements, so let's see what he can do. Alright, that gives you the 1 additional success you need, so that just gets you over the threshold. So go ahead and roll me the 7d6, like the challenge dice.
Okay.
The resistance on this is still 3. So that is 4 work. Well, actually, the resistance would be diminished because of the resistance is diminished because of that. So I'm going to say that shaved 2 resistance off. And with the application of additional parts, the reconstruction process is still a bit slow. Before I make a complete ruling here, I will allow, if you so wish, you may use threat to essentially, if you want to use it the same way momentum is used for extended tasks, then you could possibly gain, depending on how much you want to spend. I would allow for you to spend it if you wanted to re-roll any of the zeros or to pierce through some of the resistance. That is, of course, at the same threat cost, as for momentum. So that's 1 for ignoring up to
Is the
2.
resistance piercing a permanent condition on the task, or is it just for this?
It's a one-off sort of thing, so you can use it to re-roll the zeros you've just rolled, and the piercing that you would buy with this would only apply to this task.
So if I took 2 more, how much would it cost for 2 piercing on the task?
To pierce the remaining resistance, it would take 1 threat, and it would take 1 more threat in order to re-roll the 3 challenge dice there.
That brings us up to 7 threat, and we have 0 momentum. However, this is a key task because we've got to pull this off in order to get anything done.
Yeah. Just do it.
Okay, we do it. And now I'm just re-rolling 3 challenge dice, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Try that one more time.
There we go.
Okay. So, with what we are counting, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points of work on the work track. That brings you up to a total of 8 out of 24. That is also in excess of the that's in excess of 5 work, so that does score you a breakthrough. And with the what is it?
Miracle
With the
worker.
miracle worker talent, you manage a second breakthrough. So the components that you've managed to throw together, bypassing a few systems, you actually manage to at least get some of the control systems back online, as well as reassembling parts of the or critical parts of like sensors and containment equipment for the fusion reactors. It's still a considerable bit of work to do, but things are getting dramatically easier as Sharp comes in. Or, right, as
Yeah.
like Sharp has been here getting the status update.
Okay, that's where we're at, sir.
All right. How much more time do you think you need?
How much more time, GM?
I'd say the 2 days are something close to realistic now.
2 days. Still realistic, even with these breakthroughs. I can tell you I'll have it done 1 day earlier, but we're in life and death. I'm going to be completely transparent here.
Fair enough. Just a small smile. Do you need any help? Any further help? Food, supplies?
Just keep us fed and all that kind of good stuff. Anybody else that can contribute on engineering outside of engineering gives me more people to put on tasks for this.
Whatever you need. Whether it needs parts from other systems. What do you think this fusion reactor back up? I'll have the Lotso come around with some food too.
Okay, great.
2 days, Romanov.
Ask him if he has any of that great salad left over. It was really so good.
I'll ask. Dean, I'll come back in a moment once I do my rounds to help out too.
The moment you say that, Sharp, the intercom goes off. Intruder alert! Intruder alert! Security teams to the bridge!
I'll run my butt up there to the bridge.
Okay. Anyone else want to be on the bridge?
I gotta stay where I'm at and keep solving this problem.
Saral, would you think it? Well, actually, no. You're back at the shuttle, so.
Yeah, I think
don't
it's just me. I think this is the
think
captain.
that concerns me.
Yep, it is junior staff plus Patel when you get there. So let's go ahead and get you moved up. Let's see. I am also going to go ahead and put. Let's see. Just looking for where I set Mr. Justice here. So, Colonel, you arrive. You make your way up the turbo lift, having crossed through run the length of the ship, or at least from the aft through the access corridor in the central neck portion of the ship, and into the center of the spherical primary hull, taking the turbo lift up for just a few moments. You emerge from the turbo lift and you see that the bridge is presently occupied. Part of that, at least part of that, comes from the like two Makos that have taken positions, particle weapons leveled near the front of the bridge. You also see Chief Justice at the helm, the navigator. That would be Ensign Sullivan, Crichton at comms, Patel, who has been directing his science teams from the bridge and trying to do some work from here.
Mm-hmm.
Placed once again at the front of the bridge, however, is essentially that same sort of absence of anything. That just amorphous shape standing right before the screen. It has made no efforts to, or it seems to be making no effort to move in any particular direction. It just simply floats ahead of you.
Is it attached to the deck plating, or is it just sort of floating in space?
It is just floating vaguely in space ahead of you.
She'll
Patel,
just say, "Go ahead."
Patel says, I'm not getting any sort of sensor reading, Captain. I'm sorry, I didn't have time to deploy the neutrino emitters.
It's fine. It's fine. Everyone, slowly step back. Switch all your consoles to engineering stations. We're vacating the bridge for the moment.
Ooh, I
No
guess
sudden movements.
we'll just give it its space then.
She nods. I'm just very, very gently start pulling people into the turbo lift, let them go down, summon it back up, and just repeat. But I'm
Okay.
watching the thing like a hawk.
Patel's. Well, I guess Justice and Sullivan will take the first go as they make their way into the turbo lift. The Makos will hold their position, and Crichton will back off. And Patel says, "Sir, do you think we can try to do something to try to make contact here, or signal it in some
Do you have
way?"
any? You're the science chief. If you have any ideas, I'm more than willing to hear it. It doesn't seem to evoke. It doesn't seem to recognize human speech or anything in this plane.
Uh, well, nothing we recognize yet, but maybe. I mean, we've only sought out passive signals. Maybe if we try something active, it might respond in some way. Maybe it can recognize something or perceive something in a way that, like, we can't tell that it perceives.
Trying to run through a circuit of low level, um, low level emissions and see if it reacts to any of them.
Okay, let's see. Mr. Crichton, join me over go over to comms for a moment. Let's coordinate on this. And I'm going to attempt a series of very minor fluctuations in gravity plating, lighting, anything like that. Crichton, you make very minor auditory adjustments. Don't worry, it'll be nothing that should harm us, Captain. Keeping an eye on those ears for you, he says, tapping the side of his head.
I have. She gives small passive smile. I have faith in you. Go ahead.
All right. The GM is spending 3 threat to increase the complication range. Okay, I am attempting to reach out. Okay, everything. I think that the emissions are going okay on my end. Mr. Crichton? Oh, sure thing, sir. I will give that an immediate try. Let's. I am hopeful that we can make some sort of communication here. There's no response, and the GM is has wasted 3 threat that way, but that's quite all right because I still have 2 more to drop as it begins
Yep, you
to
do.
vibrate in a different way. Oh,
All right.
I think it's responding, Captain. It's not the same sort of high-pitched sound when it was being caused pain, or what you could infer is that, or whatever happened for the transporter to disrupt it.
Mm-hmm.
Is instead simply something that seems to be paired with a distant lower rumble. It seems to spin. Spinning as if, well, frankly, at a rate that should have produced some sort of change in the air, as if, to create a fan or even, I dare say, a
Yeah.
cyclone, but everything remains perfectly still around it. In the instant that it did that, it simply reorients itself horizontally, and the one of the cone ends aimed out towards the view screen in an instant juts forward towards that. The screen begins to crumple, and there's strain from the
Everyone
south of
evacuate
the.
now. She raises her voice.
Sharp, give me a control and, or rather, give me a fitness and security roll. And it is a roll for all the characters that are on the bridge at a difficulty of 2.
Space-based navigation, close quarters combat.
I think that one of
So
those instincts would definitely apply.
yeah. Fuck, I got literally nothing. You know what? I don't want to use.
Well, you don't have to just
Hang
yet.
on.
Let's.
Yeah. So all right. So I'm just gonna roll. Let's go. 2 successes. Not bad.
2 successes. Let's see. The Makos, if I can locate where I'd put the Makos. I definitely have Makos somewhere around here. So that'd be that folder. Earth. Notable. There we go. All right. Oh dear. Let's see how Patel and Crichton do.
God damn it. Oh, someone lived.
It is only because Crichton struggled for a moment that one of the Makos ran back to help him, and they are trying to take the steps, to their credit, to their training, of rushing the others forward. And in Crichton's case, he succeeds just getting with you past the edge of the turbo lift as you cross over. Patel stumbles a little bit as the other Mako tries to help him up, but alas, they are too late. As the bulkheads and conduits strain, the inner hull ruptures, and soon the entire front of the bridge is torn off. Vacuum begins to. The vacuum suddenly pulls air out of the room, and it is in those few desperate moments that you have that you manage to only just seal the turbo lift. Yourself and Crichton being the only ones to make it off the bridge. And that, I think, is where we will cut off today's session. So, for those in the archive, I hope that you enjoyed the first part of our little spooky adventure. And we hope that you enjoy coming back for next week. We will be back again next Saturday. We should have a slightly more full crew complement then. So, yeah, till then, we hope you enjoy. But you guys all have a good rest of your day.